Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. On behalf of the entire team at Carpediem Capital, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our flagship event. This is our 10th year anniversary, and we hosted last year at GO2. And we're going to have our boss speak and Abhishek. So we aim to reflect on our journey, celebrate our achievements, and explore opportunities that lie ahead as they continue to support the transformative businesses. I'd love to introduce Abhishek, and I've known Abhishek for the last, 20 odd years. And I used to keep on showing him transactions, but he never took any interest in any of these transactions. And little did I realize that, he's got a lot more interesting things, and he's only looking at X's and Y's and 7X and 10X's, and that's basically been his journey. And from soon, he climbed out of his past organization and he got into Carpediem Capital. And he's had a stellar journey since then. And this is all scripted, so there's no need to cheer and no need to even throw things at me if it's a little off. But I'd like to introduce Abhishek, and he's the visionary and the man behind Carpediem. And Abhishek, why don't you come on? Yeah.
Thank you, Shom. You make me feel very good. That's a good way to start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our annual day. This is our 10th year and 6th time that we are having annual day, and we are having it at the same venue for the 2nd year in a row. So I have a few slides for you, and so it's 10 years and counting. So if you look at the journey that we have had, it's very difficult to encapsulate 10 years in a few figures and symbols, but we've tried to do that. On the right-hand side are our portfolio companies. We made 10 investments in these 10 years, which is the most gratifying part of the journey, to be honest. For doing so, we've raised more than $150 million of capital. If we include the co-investments, then it's a little bit more. Today, we are proud to have a team of 20 people across 3 offices. So we are in Mumbai, we are in Gurgaon, and we are in Gift City. Not only have we made 10 investments, but unfortunately, the nature of our business is that we also have to see them go, And we have done that as well. We have made 4 exit events, 2 of them full, 2 of them partial. We intend to have a few more exit events this year, which is a natural course of journey and progression for us. Our portfolio companies today represent more than 2,000 crores of revenues, and more than 150,000 people work for these companies. So I think it's been a great 10 years. It's counting, and like every year, not only did we have significant milestones, but many of our portfolio companies also hit a few milestones that we are very proud of. These are just a few of them. Aparna Andrews, who is the co-founder of Biryani Blues, was felicitated by the finance minister, in an event called She the Change event, which celebrates women entrepreneurs. Fornax, which is our business services company, has scaled up really well. We have made more than 5 acquisitions. More than 30,000 people now work for Fornax. We are probably the 6th or 7th largest company in the space in a very short span of time. Sindhuja, which is our microfinance business, achieved the milestone of having more than 1,000 crores of AUM. And Abhishek Kumar, who is one of the co-founders, was invited to be on the board of MFin. Our ketchup company, Adinath, launched a very yummy, tangy, and exciting brand of Oriental sauces. If you haven't tried it, it's highly recommended. With this, we have made a significant dent in the consumer market. Flip Spaces, which are a design and build services company, did its first more than 100,000 square feet single single design and build service where they did for the Bharat Finance Group. And Inc. 5, which is our footwear, it's a very well-known brand. They completed 25 years of their journey. So not only did we achieve a few milestones, so did some of our portfolio companies, and we hope that in the coming years we have many more things to celebrate. And the backdrop, this is the backdrop against which we sort of invest. Most of you know about it, but I think sometimes we forget that we are at a unique point of time in a unique country in this world. India happens to be the largest population in the world, which is well known. The more interesting bit is that it is also got a young population. Our median age is 28, 29. We are a large economy. We are almost $4 trillion of GDP, but we are still very, I would say we still have a long way to go, because in the GDP per capita, we are still 2,700. So what that means is that on a fairly significant base, which is $4 trillion, we can have a multi-decadal growth run. If estimates are to be believed, then by 2047, the Indian per capita GDP will touch $15,000. By 2067, we are supposed to become the most or the largest GDP in the world, overtaking US and China. So directionally, we know that we are at the right place, and it's for us to make the most of this significant backdrop of opportunity that we are witnessing in India at this point in time. A little bit of philosophy, most of you know it already, but if you have to say in a few words what we like, what we don't, we like companies which have scaled up. We like companies which have scaled up profitably. We like backing great entrepreneurs, but we also like backing enterprises which have developed systems beyond entrepreneurs, and that is why we come into companies which have already had a certain level of scale, are exhibiting a certain amount of profits. We also like business models which have already been proven, at least in other geographies. Not to say that something pioneer can't happen, but as an investor, we are only paid to take so much risk. And therefore, from our perspective, something which is proven in some other market is a better bet, all other things considered. And we also like business models where there is some element of non-linearity, because that's where the real alpha kicks in. What we dislike or we stay away from is that we don't do cyclicals. We don't do infrastructure projects. We don't do anything which has got government or regulatory overhang. Not a single rupee of revenue across our portfolio companies comes from the government of India. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just a statement of fact. We don't like high capital needs, so we actually like businesses that don't need capital. And that's important, because most private equity funds describe themselves by the check size that they invest in. They say that we don't do anything less than $50 million, anything less than $100 million. I think what is more important is what amount of check size you're able to take out of an investment. So whether you invested 10 or whether you invest 50, I think the more important determinant is whether you're able to take 100, 200, 300 out of that investment. And we also don't like technology themes. Nothing against tech. We think tech is great. It's a great enabler. But we just think that if you use a lot of tech behind your name, it essentially means two things. One is that you have the license to make losses, and you also have the license to ask for very high valuations, both of which you don't like. So we invest in financial services. We don't invest in fintech. We invest in FMCG. We don't invest in D2C. For us, D2C is a channel. Tech is an enabler. And that's what we've been consistent about. What's worked for us? I think what's worked for us is staying true to what we understand, we think. As Warren Buffett says that he would like to stay in a circle of competence. We think that we understand consumer brands. We think we understand services which can get organized, and we would like to stick to that part of the world. We like an operationally participative approach. So we are clear that if we can't add value, we don't participate. Sometimes you meet entrepreneurs who show a great deal of ability, who can multiply your money, but they do not want an intervention. Whether it stems from the fact that we like the kind of things that we can do, or we just like to have a seat at the table. But if we don't have a seat at the table, if you're not able to make a difference in the way a company can function, we generally tend to stay away. Those investments are not for us. We have been fairly disciplined in terms of valuations across cycles. So we did not do a single deal in 2021 when 100 unicorns were getting created in India. And I think that has stood us well. And we've been long enough in the business. I've been doing this since 2005. This is the only thing I've ever done. Every time when something happens, people do say that this time is different. We have gone through a shift. It's permanent. But at least my experience and everything that I've read leads me to believe that the only way to consistently make money is to be very disciplined while going in. And I think by and large we have stayed true to the core. But we do want to make improvements. We have been contrarian, which is the other thing. We have, as I said, stayed away from tech and fancy themes, and we focus on businesses that make real impact. And we think that in India, there's a lot of value to be created doing very normal businesses, businesses which are making, things like food, things like clothing, things like, medicines. We don't need to be at the cutting edge necessarily to make a lot of money in India. In India, it's still a largely an execution-driven market. So if you've got a good model and you can replicate it well enough, that's usually a very potent money-making idea. However, we do want to refine, because one thing which is constant in life is change. We also need to change, and change in a better way. So as we look forward, there are a few things that we want to imbibe. We want increasingly to look at companies which have an opportunity to go public. So historically, because when we had smaller funds, we had to make a choice. We had to make a choice on whether we want to own significant chunks of smaller businesses, or we want to have smaller chunks of larger businesses. We decided to be a small fish in a big pond. We said that we want to ensure that we have a meaningful seat at the table, because that's a ideology that is very core to us, and therefore we said that even if it takes more time, we'll rather be a significant partner to businesses. And therefore a lot of those businesses in the investment horizon that we had for them were not apt for going public. Increasingly, what we want to do is we want to give ourselves that opportunity. India has a very thriving public markets. Some of the best returns are generated when you can take companies public. We have done that in the past, and we have seen the benefits that can accrue if you're able to take companies public at the right time. So, in the future, whenever we're investing in companies, we do want to make sure that one of the opportunities they have is to go public. We want to enhance our ability to add value to portfolio companies. I'm happy to say that we are probably one of the few funds of our size, and probably the only fund that I know of, which has a dedicated portfolio support group. So we started a portfolio support group. We have people who only focus on working with portfolio companies. So they don't look at deals. They just it's very large funds. I mean, you have KKR doing Capstone, and Blackstone has a separate arm which only looks at portfolio enhancement. But for funds of our size, I think there are very few who have taken that approach. We thought that it is very close to our ideology, very close to what we want to do, and therefore we have made that commitment. We have largely been accused of brick and mortar. We do want to become click and mortar, in the sense that increasingly tech is making a big impact. We do see the benefits of tech used as an enabler. As I said, we don't invest in tech, but I think some of our companies have been pioneers in embracing tech. In fact, our very first investment, Biryani Blues, was the first company to come up with a model of making chefless biryani. So we have really embraced tech in a very meaningful way. Flip Spaces is a design and build services company which uses tech to create a rendition for customers that allows you to see what you're going to get. Sindhuja, our microfinance business, has got 91% cashless collections, which is a record in the industry. So we have been at the forefront of embracing tech. We want to do more of that. We also want to add pricing power as a key ingredient of the companies that we invest in. So historically, we've been very value focused. We want to be in products and services that cater to the bottom of the pyramid. We could say that we are students of Prahlad. But increasingly, we feel that India is a market which is becoming more premium. And going forward, we don't want to be only focused on value. We also want to look at businesses, products, services which have an ability to hold the pricing power, so to say. And also in terms of the nature of capital we have, we are increasingly become more global. Today, our first fund was largely domestic. Today, 35% of our capital is international. I think going forward, we want to be able to access capital across the world and be a partner of choice for people looking to invest in India. Well, some moments over the last year. I think we have on your left, this is Vani, our colleague. This is Diwali, and we distributed food on behalf of our investors, as part of Diwali gifting. The center captures moments where, this is from our offsite this year. The team had a good time. This was, again, this has now become an annual ritual. We believe that one of the important things that you need to do today is not only think about investors, but also think about your internal stakeholders. And in Carpediem, we've been fortunate that we have one of the lowest attritions in terms of team, and one of the reasons is that because we do have a lot of fun together. And we also saw people getting married. On your right is Aditya Kanda, who is a member of the finance team. He got married this year. And then those who couldn't get married, they went to the Everest base camp. So that's Hitesh, climbing the Everest base camp. And I end with a quote. It's a quote by Dave Rubinstein. He founded a fund called Carlyle. Carlyle is not as well known as Carpediem, but it's getting there. We have the same first three letters. Steve Jobs had a famous quote saying, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." This is what happens when you ask a private equity guy to give the same quote. He makes it complicated. But the key message here is that for private equity, two things are at the center of what we do. One is we need to have aspiration or ambition. That's the driving motivation for us to do things in different businesses day in, day out. And in order to do them well, we need to have expertise. And if you're able to create the judicious combination of ambition and expertise, then you'll have the ability to transform, which is at the core of what we want to do at Carpediem. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.
What you basically summed up and said. Anyways, now I want to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, Mr. Vineet Taneja. Vineet will be sharing his thoughts on innovation in the consumer sector, a topic that resonates deeply with our vision at Carpediem. Vineet, over to you.
So it's very heartening to come back to Carpediem to give a keynote speech, because the last time I met these folks, it was 7 years ago. And I worked with Yantra. It was not even called Yantra at that time, right? And it's so heartening to see that, it used to be a small little office in Gurgaon, right, Arvind? We used to kind of huddle into that office and talk. And to see it now as a thriving organization is really heartening. So well done, guys. A round of applause. I'm very fortunate that Abhishek made a few important points, because I was wondering whether I'm going to go totally off track. Because when he said refining our approach, it was heartening to see tech there. It was also heartening to see pricing power. I think too much has been said about bottom of the pyramid. I think India is now at the cusp where if you want to grow, it's a cluttered market. That's why you want to be that blue, shining ball there, sphere there, you need money to invest behind tech, capability, and so on and so forth. And that only comes if you have pricing power. One of the ways it comes is pricing power. So, okay, I just want to kind of, does this work? Yeah. While my brief career, a lot of things were wrong there. It's not a couple of decades, it's much more than that. So it kind of gives away my age. Most of my experience actually is in FMCG. But I think the latest experience has been in telecom and consumer electronics. You can call them appliances, though Dyson, where I worked, hates to be called an appliance company. And that's why I was just true to them and just said consumer tech. Because they actually call themselves a technology company and not a consumer appliances company. I think part of it is positioning, but part of it is also intent. So I'll stay away from FMCG. I think also something that Carpediem knows reasonably well. You have a few investments in that space. But what I will speak about, a lot of the approach might be relevant to a lot of you here, because while I'll talk with a focus on consumer electronics, so consumer electronics includes everything. Don't think of TVs, etc. I'm not going to talk about that. But it's larger consumer electrical space, so to speak. Anything that works on electricity or battery. Yeah. Something that has a motor, some PCBs, and so on and so forth. So a lot of my thinking is what I will share with you, and maybe a few things that can hold you well in the future as you evaluate companies, as you run companies, and so on. As everything is, a lot has been said about India from a numbers point of view, but I thought I'll put down. And making a presentation like this and speaking to you is very enlightening, because you start thinking about a topic which you otherwise take for granted, right? So, channel disruption is a reality, and I think it's a done thing. So I will not talk about e-commerce. Okay, I will not talk. It's done. It will evolve into quick commerce, but we know what we are talking about there. It is definitely a channel that people and businesses will exploit, but that's not going to be innovation. Secular demand. We always talk about this. How fast can India grow? Can India grow when rural doesn't grow? Fortunately, the topic that I'm talking about is largely an urban phenomena, and I will focus there. So therefore, whether it's secular or not, but definitely urban India is growing and will continue to grow, especially in areas where penetration is still underway. Yeah. Data. We are collecting data. All businesses are collecting data. But I think till now, data collection and data usage has been to either do business development or CRM and so on and so forth. I will talk about an aspect of data which is evolving, and it's seeing some green shoots in the way people are using it. Premiumization, pricing powers. That's why I said it is very relevant when Abhishek put that up there. Because I'm a firm believer that only when you make margin do you get right to grow. Yeah. And you can do innovation, of course you can do innovation in bottom of the pyramid, but you can do real innovation, and some industries require more than that when you have at least the pricing power that is required. The other one is consumer choices. Yeah, you would have seen this. People are spending on experiences, not on essentials and so on. I think it's an evolution. As the economy grows, as per capita income grows, experiential is becoming more important than rational decisions. Again, these are shades of gray, and therefore you have to figure out where you stand as a category, as a business, and what you focus on. But that's definitely an axis when you consider innovation. The last one, and I think it's understated, but it is real. We all know it, right? When I was getting my ACs installed at home, the guy who came to install the AC said, "Sir, 52 degrees hai aaj bahar. Bahut mushkil hai kaam karna." For the people who don't understand Hindi, I saw a couple of people who might not understand Hindi, is that it is really getting warmer. Yeah, and we know that. It has implications on all businesses, And it's a trend that I think we should keep our eyes and ears open on. I come from Delhi, and I tell you, environment is a reality. 500 plus AQI is a reality. And I think business opportunities are there. Innovation is required to solve those problems. So those are, I thought I'll just put as a backdrop of trends for the country and for the economy. Now I come to some basic facts and we move on. So I just randomly picked up a few companies in the space. They're appliances, some make air conditioners, some make different kind of products, but they're all electrical products. And I took 3 brands and 1 ODM. And you look at the figures, clearly except Bajaj, they're going pretty well. 5 years CAGR might not be good enough for the companies you invest in, but these are large companies, more traditional companies. And EBITDA, and I think what stands out there is the last 7%. So an ODM makes probably better EBITDA or equal EBITDA to brands. And that's because these categories haven't seen the innovation that they deserve. Yeah. And one of the very, very simple things that I always do when I evaluate a business is how does the value chain stack up? And this is not a P&L, so finance guys don't look at this as a P&L. If 100 is what the consumer pays, how do you split that value chain? It's a simple calculation, right? And when you see that in an industry, EBITDA is 6% or profit is 6%, what you take home is 6%, let's say, and you start looking at channel takes 25%, okay? You don't invest in advertising or barely invest in advertising. R&D is less than 1%. You know that whatever the reasons, this category does not have the level of innovation that it requires. Yeah. However, we are in India. And the stock market, however, rewards you for growth. The stock market believes in you, says that, I know your value chain is like this, but I think you can grow because you're underpenetrated. But look at the lopsided way in which the stock market actually rewards an ODM like Amber, who makes largely air conditioners. And if you looked at other air conditioner brands, I didn't put them up there, but if you look at Blue Star or Voltas, their EBITDA is not any different, 6-7%, right? And their growth also over the last 5 years has been like the other electricals, like I put them down. So clearly there is a very interesting space here which is growing as per the market, or at least has potential to grow. But clearly the brands are not extracting what they should because of the following reasons. They're box sellers. I go back to the air conditioner example. I bought a couple of O General air conditioners from a distributor who just sent the boxes. The company never called me. Then finally some distributors, outsourced person came and installed. One of them had a problem in the installation. I never got a call from anybody in the company, right? Forget about company, not even a person who said, I'm responsible for your experience. Nobody called me. O General, top brand in the country. Because from this industry's approach, I sell a box. After that, what happens? I'm not concerned. They make broad advertising claims, like I said, broken customer experience. And even though most air conditioners that we buy, or many products that we buy, have the ability to be connected, the company doesn't care whether they're connected or not. The brand doesn't care whether I downloaded the app or not, right? And therefore clearly leaving a huge opportunity on the table. And that's where lies the future, I guess. There are 2 proven models. No innovation presentation can be complete without the mention of Apple and iPhone, right? But I put this here more as an example of what Nokia did not do, right? I worked in Nokia during the heydays of N series as the smartphone, yeah? Everything that Apple launched eventually as a key part of the mix, Nokia had in some form or the other. But it was a disjointed experience. So what did Apple do? They just created a product called iPhone and seamlessly integrated it in the entire experience, right? The second thing that they did, and I like what Abhishek said, execution heavy. It's not just India. I think execution is everything after you have fixed the strategy at a broad level, right? What did Apple do? They executed it beautifully, both at a product level, but also in a very bold GTM. We forget that they went exclusive with AT&T and launched a $99 pricing, if you remember, right? It was a revolution at that time. And everybody said, how can they go with just one operator? But they did. They launched their own stores. Again, unheard of in the space where operators used to sell phones. Now, the reason I put this up, even in countries which they went to, and I was at Airtel when I dealt with Apple, their go-to-market was so controlled. We could not put a dot extra in the advertising that we were paying for to promote their product. So they were very tightly controlled execution, and they were very bold about it. Yeah. The second route, and when you evaluate companies, if they have a disruptive tech, and I'm talking about global brands here, so you might be thinking, why is this guy talking about global brands? What relevance does it have? The story will unfold in a couple of slides. Dyson, which I worked with very closely for 4 years, their founder calls themselves chief engineer. 3M calls their people scientists. Their focus is science. And Tesla, well, Elon Musk knows everything anyway, so they focus on very concrete tech. But again, each one of these companies focuses very boldly on bold GTMs. They disrupt even the go-to-market. So for example, in Dyson, we went direct to home. We did not work with any electronics retailer for 4 years. So no Chroma, no Reliance, nothing. We did everything ourselves. Now, the approach that you use in tech, if you have, and it could apply to competencies that go beyond categories. So when you build up capabilities, whether it could be a tech capability or any capability, which is deep enough, I think there's an opportunity then to grow across categories. And you look at 3M, multiple categories. Dyson is a very good example. From vacuum cleaners, they made a leapfrog into beauty. Today, Dyson is a bigger hair care brand than it is a vacuum cleaner brand. Now, this kind of transformation goes against the traditional thinking of saying, I'm an appliances brand, I know how to be a home care brand, but they just made that big leap into hair care. The implications were very big, right? Because we started going to salons, we started looking suddenly at hair rather than floors, big leap. So when you go deep enough into a capability, there's an opportunity to go across categories. And that's one big message I wanted to leave behind. Maybe I should, like I was saying, and don't start reading the slide yet. When I was preparing for this, somehow things start popping up that you would never have noticed. And just coincidentally, I started reading this book called Fusion Strategy. I haven't completed it, I started last week. But in the first chapter itself, the authors talk about very fascinating area of what's happening in the future, or what's likely to happen in the future. And they're talking about most hardware companies, a lot of hardware companies have started now. So you're right in saying that I don't need to go to tech. And tech for us always means e-commerce, online, digital. The next phase of evolution is where hardware companies, when I say hardware, read it as industrial, read it as physical. When those companies start using data to make their offerings smarter. So take the example of consumer appliances. Take the example of the O General AC, right? Now, if it was connected, it could actually very much take all the product in use data and start analyzing it for various purposes, right? If they were smart enough and bold enough, they could actually track saying, okay, Vineet uses his AC with this pattern, right? So he's used it enough, I think it's time for a service call. If they were focused enough, they could say, you know, his temperature sensor is showing that some gas leakage is about to happen. Now this might look like this is not in today's space, maybe it will happen 20 years later. And that's where comes in my favorite topic, which is air pollution, because I live in Delhi. How many of you have heard this brand called Yoga Air? Young guy, now, but relatively, according to me, everybody's young actually, but a nice, clever bunch of people, engineers, and these guys, because they live in Delhi, IIT background, etc. And they have launched a solution on air pollution, which is totally disruptive. And again, coincidentally, I met the founder Sachin last week as I was preparing to speak here. So things start popping at you, and coincidentally, I might have met him a bit later, but because his solution was so interesting, I said, no, let me go and speak to him. And I'll take him through what they do, and this is happening in real time today, okay? So they first worked like everything in purification. Air purification, what do? Get a good filter. So they created a patented filter, HEPA filter, right? Impregnated with some other stuff, etc. Patented it and said, wow, bingo, we've got a really good filter. They could have made an air purifier, right? Air purifier, making an air purifier very easy. Put a layer of HEPA, one carbon filter, one mesh, put one motor which takes in air from outside, blows clean air out, and bingo, they would have made a filter, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that. They firstly said, you know, the biggest problem is that when you circulate indoor air, what you do is create a negative pressure. So you're always sucking in bad air from outside and blowing it inside, right? And that's what you're trying to clean all the time. So they did just the reverse. So they said, we will take air from outside, clean it while it's coming in, and blow it inside and create a pressure here. So nothing from outside will come into this room, because it has a pressure that they are creating through that blowing in process. If it's complicated to understand, just say they reversed the way it worked for a normal air purifier. But they didn't stop there. They said, we need a bold GTM. We're not going to outsource this. We will do it ourselves, charge the price, and we will go through a subscription model. So they still sell the machine, but they don't extract all the profit from just the sale of the machine. They charge a subscription, a pretty hefty subscription, all through in every year. Yeah? And there it comes in the fusion philosophy. They collect real-time data 24/7 for every machine that they have. So if there are 4 machines here that they've installed, all 4 are connected, and they know that this machine is installed in Geo hall number 206A, B, whatever, right? So suppose I have their machines installed in my house, and for whatever reason, they see a spike. Proactively, they will give a call saying, there's something wrong in your home, sir. Either your door is open, or you're not able to, there's something wrong, we will come and check it. And that's why what they're saying is it's subscription. It is pure air on subscription. It is not AMC. So there is a difference. They want to make sure you get pure air. That's what I'm charging you for. I'm not charging you to fix your machine. I'm charging to give you pure air 24/7. And by the way, they don't believe that it's only Delhi. They've sold many machines in Bombay, because we know that Bombay is today also 200 plus AQI in many days. So this is happening today, by the way. This is not something that, like the book said, will happen in the future. These guys are doing it today. So they do proactive fault fixing. They use data to improve their machines, and that diagnostics is going on continuously. Guess what do they deliver to their consumer? AQI of 1. When outside AQI is 500, they deliver AQI of 1 in every installation that they have. So that's the vision. So I call this true innovation, because it's not a new machine, it's not a new purifier, it's a new system. And just coincidentally, it is totally, if you read this book, Fusion, first chapter, and you see what these guys are doing, there's a complete match, right? Call it inspired by Carpediem, but this is what real innovation is. And I think if you find companies that are doing that, this guy doesn't need funding, by the way, otherwise, I'm sure Abhishek would have already started making a note. This guy is now well funded, all self-generated mostly. I think he had an investor earlier, but clearly, but he requires your brains. He requires your help in scaling up, because he's still thinking about a few thousand units, or I think tens of thousands of units, which is not bad, because he charges above $1 lakh for 1 unit, and then the subscription on top of it. But clearly, this person is something, this company is one to watch for what they could do in the future. And definitely an approach which, frankly, in my experience, has not been seen, executed even at this level that this Yoga Air is. Most importantly, guys, from all that I have read and studied on air pollution since I was in Dyson, there was never one experiment, even in the lab, that got an AQI to 1 from 500 outside. And by the way, I should have written it here, I would have forgotten. The measurement of AQI is through independent monitors. So he doesn't use his machine to tell you what's the air inside. He uses outside third-party meters to deliver this confidence to the customer, saying your AQI is 1. When I went to his office, the AQI was actually 0. So his level is just a complete tectonic shift in the delivery. So in summary, lot said. I would just say, since you are in the consumer space, I think the consumer sector can benefit from this new approach. Jury's out whether the fusion will really be a viable approach, but it seems to make sense. Yeah, and I think while the product and the data part is super critical, if you do not back it with a bold GTM, it's unlikely to make the impact that is required for taking these innovations to market. So thank you very much for the patience. I hope it was of value, and I hope to interact with many of you when the time comes in the evening. So thank you very much.
Puneet, thank you. That was very insightful. We've got we want to present a short video that encapsulates Carpediem's journey and highlights the partnerships they've built with brands and driving innovation in the consumer sector. So, want to start the video?
India's growth story embodies creativity, resilience, and ambition. At Carpediem Capital, we're partners in shaping the future, amplifying potential, driving impact, and fostering sustainable growth. Investing in India means being part of a story transforming the nation.
Welcome to Carpediem. India is going through a phase where we are seeing the largest body of humanity grow GDP per capita by almost a 6x over the next 25 years, which presents a huge opportunity to create consumer brands and to organize services which are unorganized. And our focus therefore is to work with market-leading companies and take them to the next level. It's a very exciting space, and we are able to make a success of this because we have the tools to not only be a capital provider but also be a part in the operations of these companies.
We are operationally very hands-on, work with the entrepreneurs and management team in revenue enhancement, cost optimization. It could be in the form of client introductions, new location identification for growth, the right capital structuring in the form of equity and debt.
We are always looking for opportunity. You don't go with a fixed agenda, this is the only way it has to be done. We're always listening, we're always exploring what else is possible.
Bringing the taste of authentic biryani to your doorstep, Biryani Blues knows that when it comes to flavor, consistency is key.
Hi, I'm Aparna Andrews. I'm the founder of Biryani Blues, which is a QSR biryani restaurant chain.
There was no good biryani available in the north of India. We saw this as an opportunity and decided that this is the only product that could probably become so big that it could take on the Domino's and McDonald's of the world with an Indian cuisine. We have created a pioneer technology of cooking biryanis in a combi oven, which is a German-based technology. And I think the main differentiator that sets us apart in terms of cost, in terms of more efficiency and a better quality product has been this.
Carpediem has been a great partner and has been integral to the growth of Biryani Blues.
They've been able to open a lot of doors for us wherever it mattered. We are looking to build Biryani Blues into a great international chain, the first Indian QSR that will go global and take a great product across the world.
While Biryani Blues delivers fresh meals, Adinath Agro complements them with packaged foods.
I'm Rajesh Gandhi, MD of Adinath Agro Processed Foods Private Limited. Adinath Agro is a Pune-based processed food manufacturer
with products like ketchup, Chinese sauces, mayonnaise and other condiments.
Since the last few years, we have focused on growth and profitability while strengthening our production base.
Our factory has a production capacity of 33,000 metric tons and our distribution network is spread across 60,000 outlets in both HoReCa and retail segments. We have two main brands, Surbi and Win. Surbi is a popular ketchup brand, whereas Win, which has always been known for its HoReCa portfolio, has now ventured into the retail segment with the launch of its Oriental range. We are expanding into other geographies of India and our products are now available in modern trade and leading e-commerce platforms. Carpediem has really helped us to transition from a family-run setup to a professionally managed company. Their partnership has also helped us in unlocking new opportunities.
While Adinath stirs things up in kitchens across the country, Colmed secures health. They keep medical supplies moving, ensuring hospitals get the essentials, no matter the challenge.
Colmed was founded with the vision of serving small hospitals and clinics across the country. We essentially deal in primary and secondary care, and over the years we have served doctors all over the country, I would say almost 700 plus districts in each and every state and union territory of this country. We set up our R&D facility about 2 years back, and within a short span of time we have been able to get regulatory approval for about 10 different products and ISO 13485 registration for our manufacturing facility. Carpediem has been a fantastic partner to us. As we go on this journey from turning from a distribution company to an innovation-led company, I see that we both will achieve great success as we commercialize these technologies, not just in India, but globally.
As Colmed strikes the balance between innovation and delivery of medical essentials, One India Family Mart is securing convenience, fashionably.
One India Family Mart is basically a value retailer. We operate close to 65 stores in 10 different states. We are rated as one of the fastest fashion sellers in these markets. We believe in good-looking stores, amazing merchandise and great customer service. For a customer who comes to our store to buy apparels, the best part is he can also buy household goods, plastics, utensils, home furnishing. So it's a one-stop destination for the customers who come to our store. The whole idea behind inception of One India Family Mart was that I wanted to make India tier 2, 3, 4 more fashionable, obviously keeping that affordability into mind. The Carpediem experience and the Carpediem partnership, there's probably no price tag to it, to be very honest.
From fashion, apparels and accessories, Suki is designing jewelry that tells a story.
Hi, I'm Bhavesh Nolakha, founder of Suki. Suki is one of India's largest online-first fashion jewelry brand, holding over 20% market share on Flipkart and Amazon. With 10,000 daily orders peaking at 40,000 during festive season. We are expanding offline with an omni-channel strategy aiming to open 4 more stores in FY25 and bringing the total to 6. Suki now has 3 core brands, Suki, Scintillab and Pisara. Recently we launched lab-grown diamond jewelry under the brand Isles. This festive period saw strong sales, over 5 lakhs Rakis and 7 lakh jewelry units sold during Raksha Bandhan and Diwali. During COVID, we refocused on online channels, achieving over 100 crores in revenue. Carpediem has supported our omni-channel strategy, helping expand offline and diversify into higher ASP categories like lab-grown diamonds.
While Suki brings the best of fashion jewelry, we have Flip Spaces, who design the best workspaces. They create environments that inspire.
Flip Spaces is an interior design and build brand which is focused on commercial spaces, and we operate across India and US as the 2 geographies. Our services include interior designing, supply of products and project management, and this entire journey is stitched together by a cutting-edge technology stack. We are the de facto design and build partners for large corporates and startups like TCS, BFIL, First Source and No Broker. We are currently at 300 crores plus of revenue, and the vision is to make Flip Spaces the largest commercial design and build operator globally. Carpediem has been the ideal friend and mentor in our journey. They have helped us understand how to chase scale and client delight while maintaining profitability.
From established corporate office spaces, we now move towards Sindhuja, who is on a mission to empower rural women.
Abhishek, my co-founder, and myself started Sindhuja in 2018. Sindhuja Microcredit basically provides financial services to financially excluded women borrowers in rural and semi-urban areas, where women are able to access this credit and get self-employment. Carpediem for us is our, I would say, co-dreamer and has been a partner since the beginning.
Sindhuja made their mark by making it to India's leading microcredit financial institutions. As we speak about making a mark, let's introduce Fornax.
At Fornax, we're trying to build a business service platform company through a buy and build strategy. The aim is to create a business which will provide scale, margin, and working capital efficiency. In the last 2.5 years, we have acquired 5 companies, 3 in HR services and 2 in BPM segment. As of today, we service 200 plus clients from 12 of our centers across Pan-India. Our client base includes large banks, NBFCs, retail outlets, manufacturing and logistics companies, large IT technology companies, and GCC clients. We strongly believe that the objective of our existence is to create shareholders' value. We are and will always be committed to that goal.
While we step forward, Inc. 5 ensures we do it in style. This brand brings shoes, style and bags to elevate your wardrobe.
At Inc. 5, we pride ourselves at crafting collections that seamlessly blend with global designs and also catering to the unique preferences of the Indian customer. Inc. 5 started in 1998 with a humble 100 square feet store in Hirapanna. Today we are around 90 stores across the countries and 235 shop-in-shops in large department stores.
So pre-investment coming in from Carpediem, we used to open 4 stores, 5 stores in a year. We look at opening another 20-30 stores in the coming year. Digital space is another vertical which we are very, very bullish upon. We've been growing over 100% this year.
Carpediem brings in an exciting new energy. It feels there's a lot more that we can achieve now that we have them on board as partners.
While we make fashion statements, Yantra is leading the way, breathing new life into pre-owned devices, ensuring quality and sustainability.
Yantra is India's leader in re-commerce, primarily focused on selling refurbished smartphones and offering doorstep repair services across multiple cities in the country. Carpediem as a partner did not only bring money but also introduced us to various experts in the industry. More than investors, pretty much like they would join shoulder to shoulder, hand to hand and work and help wherever it is needed. In 2022, while we were raising our next round of investment, that is when Flipkart came in. We saw Flipkart at the right house, and that is when we decided to join hands with them and take this opportunity into multifolds. After the Flipkart acquisition, the company has pretty much grown over 10x from where we were earlier. Today, as we speak, the company sells refurbished smartphones across 250 cities, majorly in Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4, across 35,000 retail stores.
From serving biryanis to refurbishing tech, These companies are shaping a brighter future.
Success for us means building enduring companies. Enduring, sustainable companies to us are the best returns that you can generate.
I think India has got tremendous opportunities. We have to approach it with thought, have a good team, and make sure our promoters win. See, ultimately our job is to make sure that promoters create wealth, and in the process the investors get a return.
Because these are not only the hallmark of financial returns, but they also mean that you are making a very positive contribution to the people that you employ, to the societies that you serve, and the environment that you are a part of.
This is what we are, and this is Carpediem.
Anyone want to come and speak? Abhishek, Arvind? Okay, that's a very good video. There's a great presentation. You know, I've always known Carpediem not only to focus on its portfolio companies that execute, but let's give credit to the team, because, you know, at Carpediem, they've been the very first private equity company to actually pick up the theme of, when Abhishek and Hitendra used to say that the food that in the delivery pie, it was pizza that was the largest delivered food, and they very aptly pick on biryani, and they're the first ones to invest in a biryani QSR. We never heard of refurbished and repair of mobile phones, and we soon heard that, and that was also a very successful investment. So it's not only about execution. It's also about identifying themes, and that's what this team has been very good at. And with that, I'm going to bring up a discussion that we're going to have on merging digital and physical to captivate modern consumers. And we're going to bring up some of the leaders in the portfolio companies. Jayant, is he joining, or if he's going to be a... Yeah, and so then Jayant is the moderator, and I'll introduce all of them. Jayant was the founder of Yantra, which was a company that was successfully sold when it was a part of the portfolio of Carpediem, and it was a repair and refurbish of mobile phones, and alumnus of IIT Delhi. He combines technical expertise and entrepreneurial vision to make a technology more accessible and sustainable, addressing e-waste while meeting the growing demands for affordable pre-owned devices. Then we have Mr. Chandan Polekar. You saw him on video too. He's the CEO of Adinath Agro. Chandan has 17 years of FMCG experience across emerging markets and with organizations such as Asian Paints, Marico, Diageo, Olam, and Godrej Consumer. He led business divisions and has management experience across sales and marketing, manufacturing, supply chain, management of the entire profit and loss statements of these divisions. Viral, who's the co-founder and director of finance at Sukhi, the online costume jewelry or online fashion jewelry business, which has been very successful. You've seen some of the facts and the statistics, 20% on Amazon and Flipkart. That's kudos to you for doing that, Sukhi team. And Saurabh Shah, who's the CFO of Inc5. And Saurabh's got as extensive a background in consumer as the others too. He was in Richfield and Time Zone in Meru, and he's also got 20 years of experience in finance, compliance, and strategy. So we'll await the chairs to be put on the stage, and then we'll invite the panelists to come and speak over here. Thank you. So, why don't you invite the
Good evening, everyone. We're here to discuss click and mortar in this emerging world where there are companies which are online first and there are companies which are offline first. And now the seamless integration is very important. Retail as a whole has gone through a significant transformation, primarily driven by consumer behavior and technological advancements. And today we would discuss this to see how important it is for the new age companies to consider and look at a click and mortar integration. So for the discussion, I would want to invite Chandan Polekar, CEO of Adinath Agro. Viral, CFO of Suki, and Shaurabh, CFO of Inc. 5. So while we speak about click and mortar, the first thing that remains at the center of it is evolving consumer behavior. So my question to you, especially you deal in FMCG brands sort of that, we've seen a massive rise in e-commerce and quick commerce going in the country. How are you looking at driving your strategy? Because as far as I know, the large part of the business is about doing distribution to brick and mortar, right? So would want to hear your thoughts on how your strategy looks like as you shape the business from where it stands today.
Hi, good evening. Yeah. So I think I'll talk about the consumer behavior, and let's say ours is like a grocery product. It's sauces, right? I think so. Usually how it has changed, and erstwhile when we were kids, we would go to a nearby kirana store and buy our sauces. Then I think somewhere in early 2000 and all, we saw all the exploding, the modern trade chains, and typically then we were used to like walking into an open format store, exploring the products. And I think today as we speak, and it's not just restricted to, let's say, SSC A+, but I think it applies to across is, stocking up groceries or sauces for that case, at beginning of the month or something, that actually does not exist. And I can just recollect, one of the conversations I was having with Hitendra. He's saying, it's not about महीने में कितने बार, दिन में कितने बार हम order करते. That is what Zepto and Swiggy's of the world is offering. So it's pretty much, I see my refrigerator, ketchup is over. Okay, let me order quickly. 10 minutes में आ जाता है. And that's how I think the ordering platform has completely changed. And essentially, it's not just about kirana stores or the modern trade stores. I think the evolving e-commerce and now the quick commerce is extremely relevant for our products. That's what I would say now.
Well, that's a very important perspective. While kiranas play an important role, just have a follow-up question. How do you see your strategy shaping up? Do you see it is going to more towards the commerce platforms, or kirana would still be relevant for you?
No, I would say, I think a very simple strategy that we are adopting, and we always traditionally been known for our retail presence. Okay, we've been typically, brick and mortar. If I have to say, the kirana stores is where we are available, the Horeca outlets, the resellers, that's where we are available. And also we are present on modern trade. But I think I would not say that, a kirana store is not relevant. It's going to be equally relevant. And where I see as, if I have to say FMCG sauces per se, as an industry, possibly e-commerce is anywhere between 8 to 10% today. And it's growing at a healthy CAGR of about 35% is what, we know of. And I think in 7-8 years time, possibly this contribution could go up to about 25%. So I would not ignore the traditional kirana stores, the modern trade stores where you go and physically interact with the products and buy. That continues to be, our strength, and we'll continue to expand our distribution there. But yes, I mean, we should be clearly present on the e-commerce platform. It's extremely competitive, but we have to figure out a way to get listed there, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Coming to you, Viral, right? So the product category that you deal with is more towards experience, look and feel. What impact do you see, and how will your strategy shape up as you proceed forward?
Hello everyone, good evening. Taking a leap from what Chandan just mentioned, that we've seen a lot of shift from the way consumers have been buying fashion jewelry, right? Maybe a decade earlier, when there was no e-commerce, we'd seen that the consumers were a little hesitant when it came to imitation as a jewelry, right? Then we saw the last decade where imitation started moving to fashion. And now with the advent of e-commerce, the overall landscape of buying jewelry, right, especially the lower ticket value item, when it comes to the lower ASP of about 500 odd bucks, that became much more accessible when e-commerce came into India, right? And what we saw was the confluence of good designs along with the convenience of e-commerce, right? That both put together led to a huge acceptance of fashion jewelry, especially in the tier 2 towns and beyond. This is where, the large e-commerce players like Amazon and Flipkart, created a huge dent when it came to fashion jewelry as a business. However, what we've seen in the past, post-COVID especially, the acceptance of, buying online has undergone a significant change where we can say that almost 3x faster growth has happened because of COVID per se in terms of acceptance of e-commerce. But what that has also helped us is to understand that now the customers are looking for an experiential buying, especially in the fashion jewelry as such. So initially the initial hesitance has moved to a fact that now, okay, fine, I have been an adopter to jewelry, I've been an adopter to e-commerce. Now I have to graduate myself as a consumer. And this is what we've seen change in the past year and a half, 2 years. And along with this change in the consumer thought process, we've seen that the average selling prices across the platform has also improved, which is to say the fact that consumers are looking for better products, higher ASP products, and now they want to look at the experiential, buying process of fashion jewelry, and accordingly they want to see that happening in the offline market. So what we've seen is, while e-commerce has been an enabler to this entire industry, we've seen that the brick and mortar stores are now helping them graduate to a level where, the touch and feel, the entire brand element, the multiple brand aspects that we bring about. So for example, when we moved from, the online business to creating our own store, we realized that there is a lot of, requirements from the consumer's perspective, which are not being, easily met when it comes to, just scrolling on the mobile phone. For example, the consumer wanted, products in the daily wear category, while Suki was more focused on the ethnic wear, right? So we created a brand around that, which is Scintillare. Then we understood that consumers are looking for silver jewelry, so we created a brand around Pisara. And then slowly we understood that lab-grown is turning out to be a good market, right? Where, consumers are looking more as a fashion element rather than moving it as a investment. So all these three put together, the data coming from e-commerce and, the brands that we launched, we saw that as soon as the stores were launched, the acceptance of the customer improved. The stores became profitable. And eventually the experience of the customer is to do with the fact that they want to now see and experience all the 3-4 brands or all the 3-4 requirements at one place, and then maybe decide that, someday I want to buy a silver jewelry, but at the back of the mind I had some fashion jewelry item, so I can pick up both the things, right? So this thing may not be immediately possible right now in an e-commerce setting. But what we believe is that consumers are slowly moving to, the experience through the offline stores and trying to create and buy that, buy multiple products at the same time, and enhance and understand the experience and enjoy the overall store experience. That's what we believe.
So, Will, a follow-up question to that. See, convenience has played a much bigger role, right, when it is online shopping or it is offline shopping. How do you look at the shopping experience when it is online and offline?
Correct. So, very well put. So, essentially, e-commerce, when it all started, it was all about convenience, right? You're sitting at in a location in Indore, and then you're buying jewelry which is made in Mumbai, right? Earlier, that was not possible. That was possible only through, the distributors who are buying from wholesalers in Mumbai and then selling it in local stores in Indore, right? But now that with the advent of e-commerce, this changed quite significantly. So obviously the convenience came into play. But as we had mentioned that, customers in the last 10 years have seen a lot of changes in e-commerce, and now they want to graduate themselves to getting that branded experience. So if you see, a similar journey, from a non-branded play, an unorganized play, to a branded play and a more organized play, we've seen that the consumer is wanting to move there, right? They want to feel, more fashionable. And they want to feel more fashionable coming from the fact that this brand has been bought by many people, right? So that trust has been built. We are seeing that trust graduating to the customer's thought. And now that the customer is moving from, online to an offline journey, the entire behavior of convenience is slowly moving to convenience plus experiential. So that's why, a mix of both online and brick and mortar is expected to help, at least in a category like fashion, where try and then buy is what works.
Got it. So coming to you, Saurabh, the category that you operate in, right, it is more about look and feel, and what Viral mentioned about convenience, how the omni-channel play is shaping up for them. From a strategy standpoint, right, how do you look at integrating your stores with online?
So, I'll just start the journey from the consumer. Consumer normally has three expectations. One is convenience, one is experience, and the evolving factor is the expectations. Now, all the digital platforms meet convenience and expectations. But from an experience point of view, they have to have a feel and good factor. So they need to visit the brick and mortar. So I can claim that it's a bright stores. Because things are evolving, this convenience and expectations, are from the consumer point of view, from that plays a role. Price is a factor, the range, varieties of product which are been offered is a factor, and the reviews which we get from the product is also a factor. Now, what happens in a footwear industry? I think the product is not uniform like FMCG or any other product, because your size and width and it doesn't match when you take a 36 or any size. If you order online and physical, when you want to wear it, there's a mismatch. Though there is a standardization process going on by the government, it will take time, but post that we can tell that the things are working fine. Now what we do is, in order to don't miss the bus of the digital scenarios, we have started the omni-channel. Now, 20% of the business comes from the omni-channel. Now, omni-channel is also a challenge for the standalone stores, because we need to train the staff. Staff at a standalone stores always feel that, that business, an unknown customer is buying and the sale is happening. Second factor is, when you do all this omni-channel and this thing, we also start with the D2C platform. The objective is that you know your customer well. You need to analyze the customer pattern also, what they buy, which is a nudging category, which is a acquisition category, and based on that you can drive your business of promotions and acquiring. Apart from that, we also started with the aggregator platforms, because from the expectations side and the convenience side, we don't want to lose the customer. And from their angle, we don't get customer insight to the great extent, but we get a product insight. So if we summarize all equation together, we know what works well in which platform, what works well in the physical format, because the experience plays a bigger role in the footwear, because the return, if you go in the convenience or expectation part of it, the returns are high. So we are working on a collaborative or summarized version where we can see a growth. So if you ask me from
expectations and convenience point of view, we are delivering numbers, so we are growing, and that is helping our standalone channels, because if you look at the outside environment, then also we are showing a better growth. So that's where we are figuring out how to design, how to develop the business, taking all channels like dark stores also will come into picture, and we would like to participate and figure out how it evolves.
Understood. So, see, one follow-up question on that. So, see, every brand has a persona and it narrates a story, right? The story is from a brand point of view. What is the convenience you're offering to the customer if they are coming online to offline? So, for instance, are there strategies in place where you can look, you can check, come in the store, check the product and order online? Are you working, can you give a few examples to support that, how the experience across channels is consistent and what you're working on to make them happen?
So, recent classic example, when we do end of season sales, Black Friday or anything, you find huge customer visiting the physical store. Now, customer at that moment just feel the experience, but when it feels that it's too crowded, it scans the product, goes online in our D2C website and buys it. That's one way of, ensuring that we don't lose customer. Apart from that, we communicate our brand or communicate the product through proper channels, so that we nudge them very frequent basis. Any new development, new product launch, we know the customer, we target them, and we try to convert it. Also, the existing customer who have visited recently, I think we measure the lead time, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, so they don't fall apart from the ecosystem, because that's where the problem starts. The moment you allow the customer to fall apart, it is difficult to acquire them back. So that's where, this digital scenarios and the physical or bright store scenarios are helping us.
Understood. So coming to you, Vinil, one very important aspect that Saurabh talked about is data. I want to understand that how are you using data, because you are both online and offline, I mean, as a brand. How is data helping you to do an amalgamation between both the channels?
So, coincidentally what happened was we started online first, right? And then we moved offline after we understood what our consumer wants, right? So right from the start, because we were online, we were bombarded with umpteen number of data, right? Right from the pin code, right from the age of customer, what they are buying, what they are, searching online, what are the largest search, what are the highest search keywords. So there was umpteen number of data that was readily available, right? And then, slowly the ethos of the company changed, where we started understanding that we have to now analyze this data to the level where we are able to use that to enhance the experience, whether it's online or offline. Eventually, that's what we did, and the thought of launching more brands, more categories, was coming from the fact that the customer was searching for it, right? While Amazon, Flipkart turned out to be a great channel in the form of discovery, it also helped brands understand what the customer is searching for and create that similar kind of setup when it comes to the offline. So we did that, we merged the two. And essentially, now there is significant coherence in what we are selling online, whether it's the same brands, the same categories, subcategories, as well as what we are selling offline. A classic example being that on online, most of our products are almost always live, right? However, in a classic, traditional fashion jewelry store, we would otherwise see that most of the products would be, lesser of the products would be in display, and there will be most of the products which will be, hidden somewhere in the store. And then if the customer asks for it, yes, then we'll show it. But what we understood from online is that, customer wants to surf, or dikhao. So we thought, yes, let's create that kind of an experience in our store. And today, when we launched the first store, after an hiatus post-COVID, we are proud to say that we have displayed almost 10,000 unique designs in our stores. Now, that is possible because we understood from our experience online that the customer wants to see more. And that we created a similar experience offline to make the customer understand that there are more options available. And if you wish to transact for not just one subtype or another subtype, you can transact for more things, right? So that's why, we merged the two in the form of, using the data that we had online and creating a similar setup in the offline channel.
So one follow-up to that, what kind of tech you are using? What you said is when any consumer is browsing online, they have a plethora of choice to make, right? They can look at thousands of designs and select from. But when it is offline, what kind of tech do you use to make the similar experience happen in the stores?
Right. So, the tech is also evolving. We've seen a lot of tech tools that are available right now. For example, all the way from creating that AR VR experience on the online, versus creating an entire customer journey on the offline, right? So, for example, the CRM that we are currently using tracks the entire customer journey that is there offline. Now, we are in the process of currently integrating both the online CRM as well as the offline CRM to have to have a single place where we have the entire customer's experience, whether they're buying from Amazon, we have the data for that, or whether they are buying from our offline store. And then once we merge the two, which is what we are hoping that, a lot of tech tools are slowly moving towards that. Obviously, we'll see that, that benefits in improving the customer's buying experience as well as, giving them more option in terms of what to buy, what not to buy.
Understood. A comment from you, Saurabh, on this, that how are you using tech into your stores to have a unified experience for consumers?
No. So, thanks. So what we do, we have application for offline and for online also we have application. We are using a tool called Power BI, and where we analyze the whole customer ecosystem and also the category wise the sales and the quantity, how it measures. We also view what are we like to understand on the customer profiling. So we do customer profiling, we do RFM, where we know which are the recent customer, how frequently they buy, and what is the monetary item they are spending with us. And based on that, that helps us to nudge them. If they're in case that's a product which we need to have a premiumization and need to get money, then we use that category of customer. We connect with them and get the things done. And also in case of a discounting where we know that monetary limit is spending capacity is less, then on that basis the customer profiling we build up and that we do it. Apart from that, it's very difficult to get insights from the aggregator platform like Amazon and Flipkart player, because you don't get a customer data, you only get a product data. So on that basis, we can analyze what all the products are selling better in that aggregator platform as compared to offline platform. So more of a discounting scenarios comes into Amazon Flipkart scenario where the price point, customer point of view is lower, and premiumization can come in D2C and our offline. And so that's how we drive.
Understood. Chandan, now coming to you, CODB has been a very important aspect when you look at an offline business and an online business. At the same time, some of the metrics like that, how do you manage inventory? For instance, the entire landscape has changed, right? With the rise of quick commerce, the inventory is distributed across multiple dark stores. So what kind of challenges do you see emerging up in terms of when you look at a comparative of CODB in an online world versus an offline world, and how are you planning to cater them? This is for Chandan, Saurabh.
Sorry, if I understand your question correctly, it's more about how do you manage inventory across locations, and traditionally because we've been in the used to setting the brick and mortar, how does online change that dynamics, right?
Yeah, I'll add to that. So see, cost of doing business potentially, let's say for offline, you pretty much understand, right? But online, the dynamics are changing from aggregated, let's say a concentration of one warehouse to, let's say, thousands and thousands of dark stores, right? So that would obviously bring challenges in terms of logistics, in terms of inventory aging, inventory holding, and multiple things come along with that. So how do you think, what kind of challenges will it bring in front of you as you are shaping up your strategy to, scale the business?
Okay. I think I'll share the example of, real time what we are facing day in, day out, and about our organization, Adina Agro, which is one factory, one CFA location, correct, which is in Jezuri, correct, close to Pune. Now, traditionally, I think, Pune and Maharashtra has been our home market, North Karnataka, because these are regions which are easily accessible. Now, I'll talk both, how we have been scaling up offline and how we are trying to do the online part as well. So offline, there's always been debate about, traditionally when companies become big, they may want to set up CFAs, right? We might want to have something in Delhi or Bangalore to service the southern market, service the north market. But I think they're always, for a scale of our size, maintaining inventory at 3 different locations, then there's a loading, unloading cost there, and then again resupplying those products to, let's say, the distributor. Vis-a-vis, can we kind of do a good job of route optimization, wherein I club orders of 3 to 4 locations and send it in, one part truckload. It doesn't matter even if the transport cost is higher, but eventually in the long run it turns out to be better. I think that has been our learning at least, and it's a model that we'll follow at least till a certain point. Possibly realities might come in, when we cross a certain scale. For online, again, logistics cost is at times could be prohibitive. And again, I think the same, issue comes in. It also has an advantage and it also is a challenge. Let's say Unilevers of the world and, Godrej and Marico's of the world, they will have CFAs, multiple CFAs across locations, and, if it's a quick commerce order or if it's delivering to a Zepto dark store or to the RK World, various locations, they can do it through their CFAs. Now, in absence of we not having CFAs, we still would want to supply to these locations. And I think the whole idea is, if the order size is small, let's say at times even you get orders of 12,000, 20,000, we still are willing to absorb the cost, because the idea is to service, your consumers, in a 1-day delivery or a 2-day delivery format. So willing to absorb the cost at a point of time, then we possibly reach a certain scale, and then cost obviously come down, because your courier cost, then you can actually go for part truckloads and then subsequently full truckload. The advantage that I would definitely say, which e-commerce and quick commerce opens up for companies like ours, is traditionally whatever the large FMCG companies, one of the key strength, apart from strong brands or traditionally brands which have been advertised over years and hence they become strong, I think the advantage that they had is the distribution reach, that they're present in, let's say, whatever, a Colgate, if I remember my figures correctly, reaches about 2 to 2.5 million outlets directly, correct? And, if your products are available in these stores, it obviously creates, because somebody goes and asks for a toothpaste, and then, that's the first brand that a retailer is going to offer. Now, with let's say with Amazon or quick commerce, I think once you've kind of agreed with them, on terms of trade and agreed on the location, like I think one of the examples that we have is of RK World. So our model is very simple, that we'll supply to you in Bhiwandi, and from Bhiwandi at an extra 3%, 4% cost, they will actually distribute it to the warehouses pan-India. So I think I'm pretty much at par with what a large MNC FMCG company would, if they can scale up their model, or if their products are available across multiple locations, I can just do it at a slightly extra cost by giving it at one place. So it's both, I think the cost is one part of it, but I think the e-commerce and quick commerce platforms are giving us an equal advantage to compete with the big players. Yeah.
No, that's a very important perspective. And then before we conclude, I want to hear from you, Viral, that while their category is very different than yours, how are things shaping up for you in this era?
So, happy you got this point out, because anybody in this room, if they think that fashion can sell really well in quick commerce, the first thought in your mind will be, are you nuts, right? Because it doesn't happen that way. Fashion doesn't normally sell on quick commerce, and we had a very similar thought, right? And then this year Rakhi came, and when we started to understand, where are the orders going, and then we got all those articles from Zomato, from Swiggy saying that, hey, we sold about 7 lakh units of Rakhi, hey, we sold about 6.5 lakh units of Rakhi, and we suddenly hit us as to, this is a category which is an instant buying category, right? And it served so well when it came to e-commerce, or quick commerce for that matter, right? And then we started to realize that, yes, fashion as an element, if it has the right use when it comes to same day or a immediate need, or it's for that matter an impulse buying, right? So that can be fulfilled by quick commerce. And we saw that happening, right? We got ourselves onboarded on Instamart, we got ourselves onboarded on Zepto, and we realized from first month onwards, we are getting about 4,000 orders a month. And that is unheard of, right? Because, again, the fact that fashion is selling, who would ask for fashion in 10 minutes? But yes, there are consumers asking for it. It's a different thing that, yes, currently maybe Zepto and Swiggy are using the data that was created by Flipkart and Amazon, right? Because they already know what are the key SKUs that are selling, right? And these are the ones that they are picking up and they are selling it, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes delivery. But effectively what that helps us understand is that fashion is selling on quick commerce, right? Will it disrupt the market? It seems as though it has already laid the foundations for disrupting the market on the fashion side of things. How will it turn out? Because even currently, online e-commerce contributes only about 10% of the overall fashion jewelry as a category, and 90% is still offline. It's still we are exploring. But it seems as though, yes, instant gratification is the need of the hour. Customer wants it in 10-15 minutes. If it is there to be served in 10-15 minutes, yes, the customer will buy it. And so we are currently being present on all these platforms, whether it's same day delivery through Amazon, Flipkart, or whether it's 10 minutes delivery through Swiggy or for that matter Zepto. But yes, having said that, bringing out the point that we just discussed at the start of the conversation, that it will be a mixture of e-commerce, quick commerce, and offline for that matter. And whenever it's instant gratification, it will continue to be the commerce or the quick commerce. But when it comes to the experiential, it will continue to be the stores. That's what we believe.
Thank you, Viral. That's a very important perspective. That brings us to the end of the questions for today. So it's fair to conclude that consumer behavior shapes the buying, and it is important to have consistent experience across both the channels. Tech plays an important role and data plays an important role. As the companies progress, it will be imperative and important to invest behind technology to ensure that you are delivering seamless experience to the same consumer, whether they are coming online and offline. And that is quite prevalent when we see traditional retailers going towards the online way, and most of the D2C brands now opening the offline stores.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, guys. If you need more insights, 3 of them are available. Catch them around whenever you are for a drink. And that will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
This is the last panel discussion before we, head out for interacting with everyone else. And Amit Goel, Executive Director at Carpediem, is going to be the moderator. Amit, please come up. And the topic is resilience redefined, overcoming challenges and adversity in a dynamic macro environment. We've got some of the portfolio company leaders, JP Shukla, founder of One India Family Mart, Nicer Retail. We've got Kunal, unfortunately can't join. He's stuck in a meeting, and so he won't be there. Abhisheka, founder of Sindhuja, who gave a fantastic presentation last year and opened our eyes to the fact that he's a cashless microfinance. So please come on stage, and Amit, you can roll and we can get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Shom. Last panel of the day, always tough, never easy. So, a few days back, so I came across a term called VUCA. I don't know how many of you, maybe a quick show of hands. Have you heard of a term called VUCA, VUCA? Yeah, so quite a few. I had never heard of that, and I was very perplexed. Kya hai? What does this mean? So, volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity is something, it's becoming a part of our everyday life, not just personal but also professional. And we have to deal with it on a daily basis. And last 10 years of Carpediem journey, and we have seen lots of wars, we have seen COVID waves, we have seen demonetization and whatnot. But still, our portfolio companies have shown a lot of resilience, and they have braved VUCA multiple times over many years. And two of our portfolio companies, Sindhuja and One India Family Mart, they are here to basically share some of those experiences. We'll, maybe start with Abhishek, with you, and a bit about your background. Both of you are actually professional turned entrepreneurs. You have worked in corporate world before, and then took the plunge. So, can you please talk a little bit about your prior journey, professional journey, and why did you, what motivated you to start your own venture?
Thank you, Amit. So, I am Abhishek. I am the managing director of Sindhuja Microcredit. It's a microfinance company headquartered in Noida, catering to more than 4 lakh clients. Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah. So, I am the managing director of Sindhuja Microcredit. It is headquartered in Noida and catering to around 4 lakh clients with an asset under management of around 1,000 crores, operational in 12 states. And regarding my professional background journey, I have now 2 decades experience in microfinance. Started my career in 2004. Working in a company called Friends of Women's World Banking, which is an affiliate of Women's World Banking. And after that, I worked for 5 years in ICICI Bank, in BKC just next door. And after that, I had the opportunity to co-found a company called Utkarsh Microfinance, which later on turned to be a Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. So, and I stayed there for around 8 years, had dirtied my hand in almost all the departments, started from scratch. And then finally in 2000, after serving 8 years, then in 2018, I co-founded Sindhuja along with my best friend and my batchmate Malkit. So this has been my journey for in the last 20 years. And your second part of the question, that what prompted me, actually the seeds were sown right back, I think 15 years back, when I decided to join my boss in 2009 to leave Delhi and go to Varanasi and start a company from scratch at that point of time. And I think I worked there for 7-8 years, gained experience, and then thought that it is now enough time to play second fiddle. So now let me come in front. And that is why I took this plunge, because this is a sector where you make a lot of impacts. Like we have 4 lakh clients today, which means touching the lives of around 20 lakh people if you have 5 members in a family, and around 2,000 staff, which means around 10,000 again family members. And at the same time, you are creating impact and also making money. So I think those two were the most inspiring things for which I took this plunge.
No, fabulous. That's great. JP, you have worked across multiple value retailers, before starting your own. Again, would be good to if you can take us through your journey.
Thank you, Amit, for this opportunity, and thank you, Carpediem. So myself, JP Shukla, also known as Jayaprakash Shukla. I am fortunately the founding member for One India Family Mart NISA Retail Private Limited, and I'm acting as the CEO for the company. I started my journey largely into value retail, and I take in pride in saying that fortunately I'm one of the founding member for Vishal Mega Mart. And the great news is that it has gone public day before. and on the verge of probably commanding a valuation of more than 40,000 crores. So, and I take a lot of pride saying that I was the one who actually started this journey in Calcutta way back in 1994, and had my own shares of ups and downs with the same company. 2003, I ventured into a partnership retail called Salasar Retail, which was later acquired by Mehul Choksi in 2005, and then I moved on to head Adani Retail. Not many people knows that Adani's went to retailing also, and I was fortunate enough to lead their retail business, and then finally sold the business to Reliance. And all this while, and post this, I was part of Future Group, and I think during my tenure, it was for the first time where Big Bazaar share of apparel went up from 11% to roughly around 30%. And very instrumental in launching their fashion brand called FBB, which was probably one of the most fashionable retail those days, but we all know the unfortunate thing happened with them. And then I rejoined as the CEO for Vishal Megamart way back in 2008-9. The company was later acquired by private equity called TPG, and now TPG in turn sold the company in 2017-18 to Kedara and Partners, another private equity, and now fortunately there are 645 stores plus, and they're all taking the company public, and I already discussed about the valuation, and fortunately that is happening today, tomorrow. And post that, 2012, I formed this company called Nysa Retail, and 2013 we started our first retail outlet in a place called Ghazipur next to Varanasi. And coming to the, that's slightly about my career contour. And before, I took this leap to become an entrepreneur in 2012-13. And the dream behind, and which I'm still chasing, so I actually wanted tier 2, 3, 4 to be equally fashionable and at a price. So I think that's the only mission which I have been chasing all my life, and maybe, whatever next decades I'll be working, that's the only mission I'll be chasing. Thank you, Amit.
Great. I think there is still a lot of India lives in tier 2, 3, 4 towns. So, 85%, yeah, fabulous. Abhishek, coming back to you, I mean, we can think of, lots of downside scenarios. We can try and prepare for economic shocks. But, can we ever be fully prepared? What has happened in the last few years in terms of macroeconomic shocks and, uncertainties? How did you adapt your business model? And, in these kind of semi-crisis like situations, a company needs to be very agile, move swiftly, do some experiments, bold decisions. But at the same time, if the companies are process-driven, so how do you keep your company nimble, agile, to be able to adapt? How did you do that?
So, when we started this company in 2018, as soon as it was only hardly 9-10 months when the IL&FS crisis hit. And that was a time when we had exhausted our own funds and we were looking for equity. And this was a time when I met Abhishek. And see what happens during that time. I think I'll give more credit to him than myself at that point of time, because even during that time he believed in us. But coming to how you manage your internal stakeholders, basically the employees and other external holders, at that point in time we had 6 bankers with us, and the clients basically, because
lenders, 6 lenders with you.
So 6 lenders, and the clients we had at that point of time around maybe 50,000-60,000 clients. So the first clear-cut communication which we give to our staff was that we are quite confident that this is only transitory, this phase will go away. And since we are a very small player, the crisis has hit the largest, one of the largest NBFCs. So we need to keep our head down, and we are sure, we are confident that we'll be able to raise funds. So that confidence you need to give, especially to your staff, and especially at a time when the company is very new. Many people had left their career to join you at that point of time. So that was one important communication which went. And while discussing with Abhishek, he was also wary of that this is it the right time, whether we will be able to attract funds from various banks or not. So I gave him an idea saying that this is a time when you can put some milestone that if we have some, if we can get certain amount of debt. That point of time he put it 30 crores and I gladly accepted it because I knew that I'll be able to raise resource from the bank. So that was one time, the ILFS. But the greatest hit which was during the pandemic. So we were just 2 years old at that point of time with around 175 crores of portfolio, and pandemic hit and we were in our final stage of our raising Series B. So all our fundraise have been during the crisis only. Series A was during LFS crisis, Series B happened during the COVID crisis. But again, very important because at that point of time, there were now the stakeholders had increased from 6 lenders to 15 banks from which we were getting funds. The client base had also increased, the staff had also increased. So there was very clear cut. Again, we were engaging with everybody. Like during COVID, managing internal stakeholder, our staff, there was a clear-cut communication that even there would be no layoff for anybody. So they can go because they could not stay in our branch premise. They had to go home and work from home. But at the same time, what was important was that we had to keep on engaging with our clients, not for asking money. Various calls, messages were not for asking money at that point of time, but just to know how they were at that point of time, to tell them more about the hygiene, to tell them more about social distancing and all this, the softer aspects. I think that created, and never did we ask during that lockdown period about the money. So that created a lot of, I think, for Sindhuja, a lot of value for them. And also we assured them that once things become normal, we will again resume lending and lending will be as usual. So I think a very clear-cut communication, and at the same time another stakeholders were the various banks which had lent us, that time around 15. So we also kept engaging with them. We said that government has announced a moratorium. If you are willing to give moratorium, well and fine. Otherwise, we are going to pay you every month. And so out of 15, I think 2 or 3 agreed for moratorium, the rest did not. And we paid them every penny every month as per the repayment schedule. That also gave, because the size of the company, because most of the people at that point of time felt that the company is very small, how will it deal with this crisis? So I think these 3 stakeholders, the internal stakeholders, the staff, and the external stakeholders, the client as well as the various lenders, we kept engaging with them, we talked day in, day out, and I think after that we could come out of the crisis.
So importance of communicating with your stakeholders and building trust, I think.
Yeah.
That's very key. GP, you also faced very tough times during COVID, right? Tier 2, 3, 4 towns were also very badly hit, but you came out of it with flying colors. How?
So I think whenever these kind of macroeconomic crisis happens, I think largely it's not only individuals or the companies who are affected, it's the entire community is actually affected. And I think in our case, a business where we generally, run on a negative working capital cycle, So when we closed down in the month of March, we hardly had a little less than 1 crore rupees into our account. So, and thanks to Arvindji, the first call when we had post we were about to open, he said, "दुकानें तब खोलना जब नुकसान नहीं होगा." So I think those words were quite magic to me, and I think as a team we actually worked really hard. Yes, as Abhisheka said, I think we also tried saying to everybody, saying that we are not laying off anybody, and we will ensure that there's something coming to everybody's bank account. And I think we were worst hit because we were one of the retailers. We were not selling any essentials, so we were straight shut for 5.5 months. And you can imagine for a business, which is OPEX heavy, straight shut for 5-6 months, how difficult it is to come out of that situation. But I think it was team's effort, and I think we did everything possible. We negotiated with the lenders, we negotiated with the landlords, we took salary cuts, we got into, so we did not lay off anybody. We tried getting onto a system where we said ki we have low footfalls now, so why don't we kind of roster ourselves where 15 din, one guy comes in, the other 15 days the other colleague comes in. So I think these are the set of collaborative effort between all of us which actually helped us sail through those period. And second thing was we actually wanted to be on toes when it came to identifying the right set of product what was getting sold at that point of time, because we were shut for almost all the summer, and by time we opened up in the month of September and October, it was winter, pre-winter. So taking that quick decision, because we were still not able to come to office and operate, but we tried using technology where we tried connecting with our vendors, getting the supplies, and these were real tough times, because this was the time when the winter, pre-winter's inventory was required, and we did not had any piece left to be sold in the winter and pre-winter. So I think it was a tough call at multiple fronts, and and I think these tough calls actually made us perform that even in these 2 years of COVID we were operationally profitable. So I think that's the another big hats off to the entire team. So I think that's a great achievement at our level.
Anything that doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I think that's the motto that is very important to follow, and that's the experience that we've seen across. Superb.
So, but one strategy change which we feel, so there's some changes which we have done. So we still feel that the tier 3-4 has not recovered from whatever we lost during COVID, and I think Abhishek will support that, because I think he's more deeper than what I am. So I think as a company we would love to expand our stores probably in tier 2, where the recovery has been far better in comparison to tier 3 and 4. That's the other bit which we are trying to do now.
Got it. Both of you actually have raised multiple rounds of capital, and fundraising is very sentimental driven. It's like a pendulum. One side you will have euphoria when anyone can raise capital by raise of an hand, and on the other side it's overcautious approach. And but you guys have raised multiple rounds, and from both domestic and international investors, and in good times as well as bad times. What has been the success mantra? Maybe a couple of points, key points you think were the key factors why the investors backed you.
So as I said, Amit, both the rounds, 2 rounds were during crisis only. The first was ILFS and the second was COVID. So
Series C was better, right?
Series C was better, yes. So when we were as I said, that when we were in the final stage of negotiation of our SHA, at that point of time the COVID hit us. So the quick decision at that point of time which we took was that we gave a proposal to the new investor, saying that things are very fluid, nobody knows when this is going to end. And therefore, no investor would at that point of time would like to come in. So what we told them that we can have a plan of putting a floor and a ceiling of valuation, so that neither you are penalized if the situation doesn't improve too long, nor we are penalized if the situation improves very shortly. So to be fair to each other, so let us put this floor and cap, and depending upon how the situation pans out, we can. I think they liked this idea, and they discussed, they took 5-7 days of time, and finally they said that they want to go ahead. And you will not believe that this was a time when there was total lockdown, complete countrywide lockdown. So everything we could do, so tech, as we were discussing in the first panel also, so everything is tech now. But where we got hit was that a physical stamp paper was needed at that point of time. So what to do with that? So both me, unfortunately, I don't know driving. But fortunately, my co-founder also stays in the same building. So we both took time, contacted a vendor, police se bachte gaye, took the stamp paper and brought it, and we signed. And at that point of time, many people, when the news came, many people were surprised because many bigger deals fell through everywhere, and also in microfinance. So they said, what is the mantra? We said, we don't have any mantra, we just gave a solution to the investors. I think the investor liked that solution and they decided to go ahead. So I think that is one. So you need to be very quick when situation turns down. Secondly, you need to plan quite early, because its investment is around 6 to 8 months process. And in our case, because an additional time is because you need an approval from the Reserve Bank, which you don't know whether the approval will come in 5 months or whether it will come in 12 months. So you need to plan quite early. So often the promoters face this dilemma that I want to postpone this for some time. I don't want to dilute this at this point of time. But I think you need to take that call quite early, much before it is needed, and you never know when the situation turns around. So that is another thing which in all the 3 rounds, and if we include the pre-series C also, we took the call quite early that we are going for an equity raise. And yeah, so those, I think.
No, those are perfect examples of adapting, to these uncertainties and volatilities. Perfect. JP?
For One India, I think it has been the robust performance in the past. I think we are one few companies where we work on a negative working capital. So I think that's quite a differentiating factor between my peer group as a retail business. And I think the agility of the management and the team, that in spite of those 2 years of crisis in COVID, where we were almost shut for 5.5, 6 months, both the years each, I think the investors believed in us, saying that if they can make this sort of an come out in such deep crisis, so I think they have a long way to go in times to come. And I think that's probably one reason they believed on us, and we were able to do the Series B in midst of COVID, which actually helped us to pay our vendors and lenders, and I think stay us afloat. And I think then again the same set of belief from the investor ecosystem, and we are raising, that we have raised kind of Series C round, and this is largely for growth and expansion of their business. So I think these are the
Great. So last question from my side. And this will determine your immediate course of action. So just think about it before answering, okay? So, at the end of the day, when you have tried everything and nothing seems to be working, to cope VUCA gum, what do you prefer? Whiskey, vodka या rum?
मेरे लिए आंसर सिंपल है because I have never tasted any of these in my life.
वो ऑप्शन ही नहीं है.
For Abhishek and his bhajan.
I'm still waiting for the answer.
मेरा तो आंसर सिंपल है.
Guys, let's give them a big round of applause for their resilience and for what they have done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
I think we've got just one last vote of thanks from Hitendra. Hitendra, where are you? And Abhishek, you come on and give a vote of thanks. People don't want to see me and don't want to hear me anymore.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate. And there's drinks and dinner. Please make sure that you eat and drink before you go. And really appreciate your being here and being with us. Thank you.